everybody. Excited to dive into the world of legal tech and how AI is being used in the legal profession today with a true expert, innovator at Lex Machina. Before that, maybe introductions. Carla, how are you?
I'm very well. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for joining. Really intrigued by the work you're doing as someone who's definitely an outsider with no legal background at all. I would love to learn more about you, your mission, and what's the vision at Lex Machina.
Sure. So Lex Machina's focused is legal analytics. It's what we do. It's really our mission. It is to bring legal analytics, this idea of data empowered lawyering, to all areas of the law. So we got our start as a public interest project. It was this idea between a law school and a computer science department that was funded by companies and law firms, and then spun out as a private venture. Were acquired by LexisNexis 10 years ago and have been doing it ever since. Like, we're building the capabilities that were in some of those early pitch decks, sort of living the dream even. It's even surprising to me that I've been here for a long time. I'm now the general manager, but got my start because I loved working with data scientists who could really use algorithms, use technology, mapping opportunities to apply technology to different problems. And so I'm an attorney by training and have sort of a stats and science background as well. So the idea of creating data sets, it resonated for me, and I'm still doing it and leading the team. It's a very integrated team of attorneys who now work at a tech company and then data scientists and engineers.
That's fantastic. You've had quite a 15-year or so journey, I think, through this whole process involved in data science and analytics before it was so exciting today with AI and Gen AI. So, fast forwarding to the present, where would you say AI is currently in the legal industry? And
Mhm.
where are we in terms of a sea change or turning point in the industry?
Ooh, I love the sea change. That's a really good, a very vivid metaphor, in that I think it's a really interesting point, and that the industry is fully engaged and aware, which is pretty exciting. And that it's, I think, this creative explosion, real diverse efforts going on, where attorneys and teams are seeing opportunities to use AI technology in their current workflow, define new workflows using AI, both as a tool, but also as a brainstorming, sort of like a digital colleague, so to speak. So there's lots of discussion in legal and tons of activity in terms of how AI is being incorporated, and what's the plan, at the firm level, within in-house incorporations, and then definitely the court systems are thinking a lot about it, and really providing a lot of opportunity to discuss, like, where are we headed, and what's the plan. So.
Interesting questions there. So, my limited interaction with lawyers, the legal team seems to be pretty risk adverse and kind of wedded to old school technology, in my little
Mhm.
humble opinion, in terms of loving yellow legal pads and fax machines and like old school apps and things.
Mhm.
So, how are attorneys and firms, your customers, partners, reacting to your new suite of AI tools?
Well, I definitely I definitely appreciate the pairing of just thinking about legal and the industry, and just sort of, definitely tradition and definitely being cautious. I think attorneys are expected to really weigh the risks and
Mm.
be very methodical. The industry is also known for being very analytical. So I think there's been a shift as the opportunity is really recognized, whether it's coming from partners that can see the everyone's being asked to do so much all the time at our work. So if there's opportunities to streamline, help them keep thinking deeply about insights for their teams, if there's really that opportunity, people don't want to miss out on something that's good for them. So whether it's good for the teams to stay focused on kind of the people part, law is also a very team-based profession, and really the sides of humans that we'll keep always doing, being practicing judgment, connection building, like that. AI isn't replacing that. It's more this really neat moment where technology applies with a real resonance for legal. And so there is this appeal to using AI assistants to reduce friction, carry the workload. So it's just the right place, right time. Legal is a great application for AI because there is just so much information, so many documents. You mentioned legal pads, just the volumes of information that teams are trying to reconcile, and really that the sort of a take control attitude that maybe one also associates with lawyers are is seeing that it's sort of on their terms and just getting involved and deciding how they're going to use AI. So I think definitely the caution and precedent holds true, and it's with a very, very methodical approach. And there's a lot of discussion around ethics, a lot of discussion around the implications for how our team's going to adjust, because things are shifting quite rapidly.
They are indeed. So let's talk about your AI tools. Protege, I believe, is a brand. Great name. What is it? How does it work? And what was inspired to build it? What was the big idea behind the tool?
Oh, well, as I've mentioned, Lex Machina's users are attorneys. So at law firms, at corporations, and really our users are asked to consider many kinds of questions all the time and make decisions throughout the litigation process. For example, who should my company hire to represent us in a new case? It's what an in-house attorney might be thinking about. How long will this litigation
Mm,
process take? That's like, what are we in for? What's the plan? Should we fight an unfavorable decision? So there's questions and really seeking to make decisions over and over. So Protege and Lex Machina provides customers with insights, so actionable insights that help them answer questions. And we're doing this because we've created these legal analytics data sets to talk about my tenure here, but
mm,
case data and court documents really transforming information that's out there. This is like complex litigation records into very structured data. And once you've got that, really the experience of accessing the analytics and insights, it's easier with this launch of Protege, and that our users ask the question just in natural language and
mm.
get those insights. So how long will the litigation process take? Type in the question, and then this assistant takes you to the analytics where you can see the information, think deeply about, well, in this jurisdiction, the median time to trial is this number of days. I need to make sure that my client is aware, that it's going to take this long. So it's really helping meet that moment that there's so many questions to get answers to, and just make it easy to access the data. It's structured now in our database, and really it's that sort of simple. Is like help our users answer all the questions they're trying to get to.
That's wonderful. What a great approach. So easy is definitely a key design principle. ChatGPT is easy, but of course, how do you then build in trust into that product so they can rely on it, day to day in a real world environment?
Oh, well, and that's where it's Protege provides the answer, and that's where, if I expand on that just a little more, that it's really this jump start into getting into the data. And once
Mm,
the answer is taken, the user really is in a position to be thinking about, well, what am I looking at? And you can always dig in to the details of underlying cases.
mm.
Any number, has the ability to like get in deeper to really understand. It's so in contrast to something like ChatGPT, which is a chat interface that more and more there's like references and there's more going on there, but really we do provide an answer and then sort of that opportunity or forum for the user to like, well, I really want to understand this answer, and then kind of get, sort of have their own independent thoughts and conclusions around the answer. So
Yeah, I get it totally. So, helping with productivity is important. It's one thing, but, everyone's outcome driven. So how does it actually, or can it actually help lawyers win more cases? You must have some interesting anecdote stories on making a difference.
Well, I think, yeah, and a big part of having more, yeah, essentially having the AI assistants, AI colleagues, a big part of it is, yeah, this ease of access and really helping people have more time to be thinking and thinking about those insights to then have the best answer. So, in terms of thinking about how exactly is Protege helping lawyers win, sort of having an impact on decision making and strategy. It was a really interesting experience at a conference, at one of the Legal Week conference presentations, where I helped moderate, and it was a really interesting panel, a mix of law firm partners,
Mm,
director of knowledge management, and just the cred that the knowledge management director who's coordinating all the technology and workflows and really having that vision was really interesting, because that's someone who's at the hub, really helping the teams work efficiently, get results for their customers. And some of the stories she told really around winning had to do with really providing that opportunity for the insights and the lawyers being given like more space, and just like it's surprising, we're all so busy answering email, dealing with one another, that having that time and that space to really laser in and see opportunities and be tactical, it went a long way. And so some of it sounds like save time, save money, but it's, and then have
mm,
more time to think deeply. And so some of the
mm,
examples of winning had to do with how to have a more nuanced client conversation, or really see the bigger picture by making use of all this data that's out there. And so that's where having insights into, well, this judge's reversal rate on appeal. So this is where if you lose or have an
mm.
unfavorable decision, you can appeal. And just hearing that, it was a very profound thing to very easily share. Well, this judge's reversal rate is really high, much higher than other judges in this court. And just kind of that shift of, oh, well, maybe we should, it's expensive to appeal, but maybe we should talk about it. And kind of just that, like almost like reducing like the unknown and that friction to then get to, well, what are we going to do? And then setting course on a winning strategy. So I know that was a long-winded answer. So thank you for your, but it's really, I'm trying to bring to life like what's going on teams. And some of it is just sort of that relief you feel when you have something to react to. And you're like, oh, well, that's a really interesting piece of information, that it's incredibly helpful to charting the best path and getting the best outcome for my client.
That's great. No, great to hear. And you see AI tools like Protege becoming almost standard in every law firm in the next few years, the way, Microsoft Word or Docs or, are pretty standard. It's hard to imagine in a few years working with a lawyer who doesn't use a tool like Protege.
Yeah, I do think that teams, that legal teams, whether it's the law firm context or
Mm,
in-house the corporate legal departments, they will have really incorporated that the AI assistants, sort of their AI colleagues, as part of what they do, because with AI really being in a position to connect multiple processes and in
mm,
some ways anticipate when the team needs data via something like Protege, or really building an assessment for an early case. If there's a way, for example, that your firm, say you're a top lawyer, Evan, and you have the opportunity, it's a brand new case, you just want to understand the lay of the land. There's a lot of inputs that right now um, you would want to know about, well, this judge, opposing party, what happened last week? Is there anything else? And if that was just really readily available to you without having to send off, open a bunch of different things and have your team print stuff out, if it was really managed in a really coherent way and delivered, and this like anticipating the agentic flow, you could see how um, you can apply your own creativity just like a lot sooner instead of this like waiting to get this and that and kind of that stop start. And so that's where I think with the standard presence in law firms is just natural to have something to react to, have really have the first drafts of a memo, have a
Mm,
digest of someone drops off a box of documents, and you're like, oh well, want to get that through our system as quickly as possible. And I think it's not a reliance on the technology, but it's like using it on your terms is what we'll see. So
that's fantastic. And I think there's probably a whole generation of younger up and coming lawyers who embrace this perhaps more than their older, more experienced colleagues as well. So I imagine a generational shift. But where do you see Protege headed over the next year or two in terms of features, capabilities? What can you share
so
with us? I'm sure there's a lot you can't share, but whatever peek into the future would be interesting.
yeah, no, I appreciate the question. I think a big part of some of the themes you've touched on around responsible use of AI and whether a profession really embraces something that is a shift will have to do with, or a sea change. I love that. Is really that we'll work really closer with customers and their journeys with using the technology and the feature, and really we're seeing really great usage in terms of engagement, and it's sort of just like a natural fit, but really wanting to have an understanding of how the data and analytics are fitting our
Mm,
customers and users needs, and doing that sort of like the next rev on product development. And really we want the product to anticipate how the user wants to interact with questions and get the data they need, and really on their terms. And we'll be doing a lot of looking at data and thinking about how to improve performance always, but also talking with customers like a lot, and getting user sort of their stories, but
mm,
also their vision for how they want tools to function and how they want the experience of ideation and really that insights. I'm excited about bringing data to the practice of law, because not because I think the data has the answers, like the attorney has the answers, but that's who, when they see a number or they see a trend, will have that perspective as as an expert in that area. So that's where really knowing where our users, where our customers are headed in terms of their vision, is a big part of it. So that's is a kind of vague answer in that, but really what's next for Protege is we want to anticipate what users want and need,
mm.
but also ask them like, what do you want and need? So
It's amazing. It's very analogous to what's happening in healthcare. My doctor recently mentioned he's going to start recording, like ambient recording of conversations, doctor
mhm,
visits that will
mhm,
be fed into a private LLM and used for, the EMR. So it's
mhm.
just amazing how these all these industries are changing. Let's move into a little bit of the fun science fiction side of the discussion. I mean, can you envision in 5 years, maybe not in the US, maybe in Dubai or Shenzhen or somewhere, digital lawyers, digital judges, AI lawyers, or is this outside of your realm of comprehension at the moment?
Well, no, I've seen panels. I've talked to judges about how
Mm,
they may want to use tools and where they feel the opportunity, but also have questions when they hear about full AI
mm,
attorneys or law firms. There's the just
mm.
recently the first AI law firm in the UK was announced. They're
Oh,
very
wow.
trying new things, the AI first. But I do think that the practice of law is really about providing access to justice, representation for people, for companies, and a big part of the practice of law. I mean, it's a uniquely human industry
Right.
area. And so just that the judgment and sort of connecting and really advising clients. I mean, I think the practice of law will stay focused on that client focus, and there's also just a lot of focus on ethics. So I don't think that'll be automated.
Well, that's good news for those law students out there
Mhm.
who might have concern. Of course, you got to pass the bar first. I wonder if AI could do that. Maybe they could today, but fascinating world. Thanks for the sneak peek behind the curtain, and keep up the amazing work. So interesting.
Well, thank you for having me. It's fun thinking about where we're headed and just taking time with you to pause and reflect a little. So I appreciate you hosting.
And thanks everyone for listening, watching, and sharing. And check out our new TV show as well now on Fox Business and Bloomberg. See you there. Take care.